Well, good day, all. Welcome to Alchemy Within from Out Amongst the Stars. Thank you for being here today with me, and I'm wishing you all a very happy new year. I set this chart for January 3rd, 2024. So that's what this was set up for, and yeah, not to worry about the ascendant rising. It's just where it landed for this particular area. And um, going now in review with Mercury retrograde, I had just on the outer planets set it up for just right around the time that we had that full moon here um, in Cancer. So that was right around Christmas time if you celebrate that. So I just wanted to chit chat a little bit about how that week went. We left off at the solstice. It is the Capricorn winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, and the summer solstice in the southern hemisphere. I have to honor that, as my daughter has been down in that area celebrating with her other side of the family, and been an interesting Mercury retrograde uh, for both of us. I'd love to hear from you, how yours showed up, and what what kind of transpired. I know on my end, it was very, like, there was nothing really hard in the communication area, except it just, I noticed the plans changed like in a hurry, like, or yeah, just any kind of plans that I made kind of seemed to uh, really change. And had some, yeah, reconnections with people that I haven't for a long time. Even had one of those ghosts appear, you know, as we hear about that sometimes show up. There was no communication, but it was like, oh, you're from way back in my past. And we had a really, it was just a really unseasonably warm time here. So it was really nice to just take time out in the energy of nature and stay grounded and stay flexible with whatever the plans were. Um, we had that Mercury ingress into Capricorn on December 1st, and then it went all the way up into to that 8-degree mark. So, and that's when it stationed retrograde. So then it went back to 22 degrees, and it had entered actually Sagittarius around the 22nd um, of December, but January 1st was when it hit that, which was just, of course, a couple of days ago, when it stationed right here. You will see it 22 degrees Sag, and you see there's no little R beside it like there is here. That was, for the 27th of December, we were still in that retrograde. But here in this main chart for January 3rd, it is forward motion. And now we'll go back over all those degrees up until about, yeah, the 21st of January, where it gets past that 8-degree mark where it had stationed. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to hear how yours went. Like I said, mine just needed to be really, really flexible with any kind of plans, and for the most part was quite great, really. The only thing is that I really wanted to move forward with, doing more videos or doing more information or working on kind of, social media things or something that was going to allow um, myself to expand in this area and help you all more by giving you more information. And I just couldn't get there. My mind was like, I was kind of taking in some of the, things that were coming out and listening, but writing or thinking about speaking or thinking about engaging was not going to happen during that time, and nor was it the right time. So I was just kind of reviewing and reassessing how I'm going to move forward. And I thought today, on a Mercurial day, Wednesday's the day of Mercury, of the week. And so I thought this would be a great time to start, except we will stay in that Mercury retrograde energy and just do some reviewing of how that last week of um, December and now moving forward into our new year with more forward energies has come about. So, just for information's sake, so Mercury in Capricorn, like if you have Mercury and Capricorn in your chart um, natally, uh, it is just a whole different energy, of course, than the Sag. It's an Earth sign for one. It's very grounded, and you probably have in your thought processes and your mind and the way you think and maybe write and speak and all those things to do with the mind are a lot more logical and rational and very much about having the checklist and very practical and detail oriented and disciplined. And so it's just a lot more of a logical, um, very grounded energy. And so that'll be great for bringing anything into the earthly realm, of course, if whatever we kind of had going on with that Sag Mercury, which is, of course, the bigger picture. And so, when we have a Mercury Capricorn, is rooting it into something tangible, right? And it's a lot more rational and all about the long term goal. It's like that, mountain goat, sea goat, the goat that wants to climb the mountain and in very, strategic type action oriented discipline work. And it's also cardinal energy, and can be quite serious and in its speech or communication. And Saturn ruled, so very much the rule follower, or the one that really has those borders and boundaries and takes that authority and leadership position. Often a Capricorn energy is definitely the boss CEO, the one that climbs the mountain to the um, to the top type of thing, and expects the best. And yeah, they are can be very serious type people, but often, um, you know, in the end part of life, will loosen up a little bit if that's your um, if that's your sun sign, or if you express in that energy quite a bit. So Sagittarius Mercury is a whole different um, it's just a whole different outlook. It's the bigger outlook. It's the one that's kind of bold and blunt and says whatever it wants to say. It uh, it really has a lot of that more light-hearted energy, the one that wants to be jovial, like the big old, coming out of December Santa Claus type energy. And they're very direct in their speech. There's no fluff typically, and can be you know even sometimes say things that are even maybe not totally appropriate, or they might like to swear, or they just like to be loud, or that it's that kind of energy. It's also something where you are the seeker, the one that like looks at things from just that higher perspective, so it's easier to put on that observer. It's easier than having very disciplined um, expectations of the Capricorn. It's more of the one that's just seeking higher truth and higher knowledge and philosophies, and getting into a big broader perspective, and you know not so much into all the little details or anything real, like linear and logical. It just sees the overall, and it might have things to do with the universe, or the God, the bigger higher mind that you believe in, or moral, or uh, moral or philosophical type um, perspectives. So I guess it's just a little short blurb about how those different mercurial energies can express themselves. So you can look at what we were in, and where this Mercury was wavering in between here. And then, if you happen to have either one of those in your chart, you can you know maybe relate a little bit more to that as well. So now we are still in this Mercury in Sag, and going forward, we are going to, now hopefully have had a lot more introspective time to, reassess and revisit and redo or rework things even in our own internal world about how we're going to move forward, and bring it now down into the earthly realms of the, disciplined Capricornian actions. And so we'll be able to really fully move forward with that later, as we go ahead in Capricorn. We have had some more energies moving forward and moving direct as well. Not just the Mercury that actually stationed direct January 1st, but we also had on the 26th of December, we had Chiron. So this is what the Chiron looks like here. Chiron stationed direct as well at 15 degrees of Aries. And it actually it coincided with, we also had our full moon at 5 degrees. And we didn't really we didn't do any kind of a big chat about the full moon for Cancer, because I was just interested to see how it was going to play out. Especially because we had this, Chiron in there. And what is Chiron? Well, it's an asteroid. It's not a planet. It's between Saturn and Uranus. So Saturn is our reality, or borders and boundaries, and Uranus is that big kind of, lightning bolt sort of otherworldly energy. And so, it's the bridge between, sometimes people say, that old sort of reality, time lord, border boundary energy that we can see in the sky with our naked eye, Saturn, and between that and all of the other worldly higher dimension that brings revolutionary downloads and things that come from that, other sometimes what we want to say the universe or spiritual realm. And it can be the bridge between that. However, it's often, it's the half, it's the centaur, the half horse, half human. And it brings up our vulnerabilities, our traumas, our fears, our emotional wounds. That wounded part of self, people often say we need to work on, help others work on, that we often don't fully heal ourselves. And, right now, Chiron's in Aries. Natally, I have Chiron in Aries. I just had a Chiron return a few years ago, and that is definitely the truth. It's like, bringing my own, sovereignty and things to do with my own communication into the world. Like it's definitely a point that people really notice where they need to do some work. And but as part of your evolution in your human experience, and where we need to grow, and where we need to find more self-love and self-acceptance, and embrace and accept, that part of our soul that does feel wounded, that never maybe had a full chance to express. And now you've come into this life wanting to work on those parts that really need to be healed, and really need a lot of nurturing. It's essentially the wounded healer. And when we're around 50, that's when we get a Chiron return. And often that's when we really get things brought up into our awareness. Another interesting part of it is, if you look at your degrees of where it's at, it's often around the age where that wound may have, been initiated, or something was really prominent around anything to do with your guilt, shame, wounds, vulnerabilities, insecurities, your awkwardness, where you feel uncomfortable, where you felt different or strange or, um, you know, somewhat not uh, fitting in. And so it's just where you can really feel a lot of uncomfortable um, emotions. And often, too, is that alternative energies, alternative medicines, alternative different type of healing modalities come through for people in whatever area of your chart that presents itself to. So, like say if you're um, somebody who is working with, um, herbs or alternative energy fields. So, for me, I use, because I have a lot of that technology, Uranus in my chart and Aquarius rising and that kind of thing. I love the energy scanner, like the tool, the technology that can scan your energy field. So that's where mine actually has come through. So this month, of course, is um, something I'm going to do is actually invite you to connect with me. We can have a look at your chart, and we can do a energy scan as well. And it looks at the emotions and all of your like your life path journey, but as well as all of your energy fields in your body and different systems and organs and all that kind of stuff. So it's just to be a really cool introduction to that. And yeah, typically that's for about half the price of what I'm charging for a 40-minute session. That scan alone, let alone, the actual consultation with it. So it's just a really nice bonus. So as we move forward, we've now got this Chiron direct. That was on the 26th. We've went through our Cancer full moon, which I found like, wow, we had some real like major um I guess steps forward with, family stuff and just, connecting again in with more of the family and ones that we haven't since prior to, 4 years ago when we had all the big outer collective planets come together and really bring about all the change that we are starting to see shift finally. And so Cancer, of course, is that nurturing and, that very emotional, um, you know, motherly energy. And it really brought, I felt, that into the holiday season in our family. So I was really happy to see that whole that cancer full moon actually reflect that. So that was on the 26th. I show it here for the 27th, but it was on the 26th at 4 degrees. And so you see the moon was in Cancer, the sun in Capricorn. And they were opposite in the sky. And we had just, yeah, I would like to hear even how you felt that energy, how you felt that Cancer full moon. Did it show up for you, with a lot nicer gathering as a family type um, holiday time, or were you feeling um, a lot more closer to home and or connected with your loved ones and yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that came about. So on December 27th, we had, uh, which also was kind of another whole energy that was amongst us through this whole time. We had this Mercury retrograde in Sag. Um, Here it was squaring Neptune. So that was like, here's our Neptune, right? That was like a feeling of maybe not um, having all of the information in check, or some things that you may have heard may not have been all the truths, or may have been kind of just really in a whole from another whole realm. It can really bring in just that kind of fuzzy feeling. And yes, Neptune's very compassionate though too, and but Mercury in retrograde might not be totally clear. And so, and then on top of it though, what made it really more benevolent was that it had this Jupiter trine. So Jupiter right here, still at 5 degrees, right? Because Jupiter actually was going to station to go forward too. So you see here, Jupiter with the little r, it was retrograde still. And it was about to station direct. So, and it was at 5 degrees, right? So if you go from here to here, there's that nice trine between them. And Jupiter is such a benefic energy, right? And it is that one that also probably help make things just a lot more benevolent and beneficial. It's expansive, it's optimistic, it allows, it's about our beliefs and our wisdom and philosophies and faith, and big meaning in life. And it offers, you might have traveled, it offers adventure and travel and exploration, and the big picture and purpose as well. And it just is an opportunity to have that expansion, and it can often just bring in just that really abundant energy that's hopefully in a positive abundance, right? Because it expands on anything. So of course we hope that it expanded on things that were more positive, because it can be overindulgent, or take advantage, or there can be expand on things that are maybe not going so well too. So, but hopefully in general it brought about some really nice energy that brought everything just right into the place of maybe how it almost felt like we were back to how things used to be when we had the big celebrations. Some people did a lot more, some people did a lot more, and they were exhausted though because of it, because lots of us aren't used to all that action, and lots of things going on. So I'm sure there's some people that are quite happy to be still kind of in rest mode, even though we have a lot of this forward energy. So we had also, on top of it, we had the Mars square Neptune, and so that can be sometimes some words that can be said. So, or it just things that are very confusing, and sometimes it can bring words that if people are irritable or annoyed, or sarcastic, or those kinds of things could have come up too. There might have been some tensions around different ideals and that kind of thing. Now I hope with all the benefic energy that it was more to that than the other way. And but there could have been like, is there been a shift in people's beliefs and ideas and philosophies? Like, are people able to have conversations? I noticed that we were in this room of some family that we haven't all been together since prior to our big 2020 conjunctions, and that shifted and changed and locked us down and changed and made people kind of have a divided kind of perspective and all of that. And so yeah, it was like, oh wow, we're not, we didn't go to the subject much, but at least we can have a little bit of conversation about certain things. And then we also were doing a lot of reminiscing, which just kind of like stuff that we talk about that we used to talk about and tell stories and that kind of thing too. And so yeah, if there was some Marsy energy there where people were a little more domineering or pushing, or you know it can be, sometimes it can be feel a little fanatical, um, but hopefully there was enough of that benefic energy in there so that it didn't feel like that um, that tension was there as much. So Venus in Scorpio sextile Pluto in Cap at 29 degrees on the 29th. And so we had, here's our Venus in Scorpio. And if we go over here, we can see that Pluto is right there at the 29 degree. This was set for 27th of December. So by then it was at around 29. So we had that. But they were mutually in reception. So Pluto, um, well, if you look at the modern ruler, it's a modern ruler of Scorpio. And then, um, we have that really nice, um, kind of I guess it's a moment where we can feel that things were easy and flowing. And we also have this, Jupiter in Taurus, which is, bringing in, that place where we have some more benefic energy and want to feel safe and comfortable. And, but with the Venus, it has a lot to do with our self-worth and our values and our money and looking at our finances, as well as romantic relationships and women connections and friendships and our own creativity and artistic endeavors, or, what's beautiful. And, so we're looking at that, and where does that need to transform? Like, how can you get yourself set up now, that you're feeling like, you're more empowered, and or were you looking to bring in more of that joy, and allowing of course with that um, sextile also, as it ingresses, like Venus, as it ingresses into Sagittarius, we may have that lot more adventurous and outdoorsy and optimistic and enthusiastic, fiery truth teller type of energy coming, like where's the party at type of thing. So it may have brought that in as well. So on the 30th of December, Jupiter stationed direct. So we now had, we had that Chiron that was retrograde go direct. We had Jupiter retrograde. Now on the 30th, it went direct, and in this uh, sign of Taurus. And so this is going to start that, trek closer and closer to Uranus, because that's the big thing that's coming about in our April 2024, is these two come together, right? Jupiter and Uranus. And that's kind of a real big, exciting energy for sure. And hasn't happened since 2010. So right in that December into January 2010 was the last time it came together. So think back in that time, what happened right around there. So then, we also had that it's at the same degree as when we had that full moon lunar eclipse on the 28th of October. So there might be some reflections right around that as well, because that's where we had that eclipse. So, what came up then, and where are you at now with all of that? So now that we've now got Jupiter direct, we got Chiron direct, and then it's Mercury's turn on the 1st of January here, where it's stationed direct at 22 degrees. And we will be past the shadow of that, like I said, at 8 degrees on the 21st of January. And what Astro Victor talks about, which is really cool, is like it's like an 11th month cycle. So if we you know look if we look back to January of 2023 when we had that Mercury retrograde, so it actually was after the holiday season. It was in January, so it made that time really, really drag on because it wasn't right around the same time. But what was interesting was it went, from the beginning of January, and then January 18, 2023, so at the beginning of last year, it it stationed at 8 degrees of Capricorn. So I wasn't aware of that cycle before, and now now I kind of look at that. So what was happening right around that January 18th? Because that's where this particular Mercury retrograde went up to. So once we get past that 8 degrees of Capricorn, we'll be past the shadow. Well, last year, that's where that station was. So, and then if you look at, next year, like when we have our Mercury retrograde, it's going to start earlier, right around November, 26th, I guess it'll be. It actually will be stationing retrograde at 20 degrees of Sag. So, yeah, so that's kind of like how that it sort of picks off. It picks up where it left off with that degrees. So that's kind of a really interesting thing to look at. So just to keep in mind too, speaking of Mercury retrogrades, we're done with this one now. Past the shadow in January. The next one will be from April 1st at retrograding at 27 degrees, and then it is up till the 25th of April, and it'll station direct at 15 degrees of Aries. So it'll be in the sign of Aries in April. And then the next one for this year will be in August 5th to August 28th, and it will be up to 4 degrees of the Virgo, and will retrograde back into Leo. So it will be it'll be in the Virgo, and then it'll retrograde back into Leo, and then go back forward. And then, like I said, then in November 26th, we will have that one that will retrograde at that 22 Sag. And on the 15th of December, it goes back to that 6 degree Sag where it'll station direct report. So that is another little tidbit just to keep in mind for the year coming up. We will talk more about what's going to happen in 2024 at a different time. I just wanted to really go back and review, see where things were at, see how things went over this period of time, kind of get back into the flow of everything, and to let everybody know that my January special will be the adding the energy scan to your reading, as well as like we'll look at your chart, look at where things are at, and you can pick the time you want, 40 minutes or 50 minutes, or double that, depending on how much time you have or how much information you want to take in at a time. And so either you still get the scan. It doesn't matter if you pick a reading. And I'm speaking of redoing my website, so that's down right now, but I will just put a link to my landing page, and then you can just fill in your birth data and that kind of thing, and just any little bit of notes, and we can just use that for now. So yeah, and then we'll move ahead here as we shift into January, the end of January on the 27th. We're going to see this last retrograde planet of Uranus move forward, and it's going to station direct for us. And then from that point, we're like all forward planets, full speed ahead um, until the beginning of May. And of course, we don't have the or sorry, April until we have that Mercury retrograde, and then the beginning of May, I think it's Pluto that retrogrades again, because of course the outer planets, they spend about a good portion of half the year in retrograde. It's just what they do. But right now, as we move into the spring, we're going to be cruising along, and it's definitely going to look a little bit different at the end of 2024 because we have the Mars retrograde, and so we really want to take action here in the beginning and take advantage of this coming together, Jupiter and Uranus. We're also going to see the North Node in Chiron. We'll talk more about the Chiron and the North Node as well. They're coming together. That can offer a lot of beneficial healing. And we have Mars. It's at this 29-degree right. It's on the right here on the January 3rd, right on the anaretic degree, and it will be moving in to Capricorn energy on the 4th of Jan. And then the 13th of Jan, we will have Mercury move in, and then we'll have on the 23rd, we'll have Venus enter Capricorn. So then we'll really be like solidifying all of that Capricorn energy and bringing whatever it is that we reviewed and revisited, and we can really bring it down into earth and some, grounded, practical action taking that will allow for us to, really move things forward in a very practical manner, and whatever it is that we're, been kind of looking at shifting and changing. So after January 20th, we just will be seeing things really shift. We have the sun at that point. We'll be hitting the Pluto then moving into Aquarius. So besides that, little stint where Pluto moves into Aquarius in the fall, moves back into Capricorn in the fall, it is now going to be in its 20-year cycle of Aquarius. So wherever that helps is for your chart, huge transformation. Happens to be where my ascendant is, so this should be really interesting. But whatever we were seeing with any kind of, power structure, corporate, big tech, government, big business, all those very Capricornian, structured things are starting to really crumble or fall apart or need restructuring and transform. And, no, Pluto can, of course, be that death and rebirth, but it's also very empowering if you can use it. And so we want to be able to really just be aware that whatever structures are changing, allow them and let go and bring in your new visions, because there's a lot of benefic energy and a lot of forward energy in the spring. And that also, that vision board that you can initiate into, whenever it works for you, like in January here, or I go with the beginning of the, spring zodiac sign in the Aries season, and allow those visions to now really crystallize, and allow yourself to really ask what it is you value and how you want to spend your time, because anything that was the way it was structured before is going to shift and change. And this is about you as an individual being empowered to bring all of that to life, and whatever it is that your passions and heart's desires wanted. And especially with this all of this the Saturn in Pisces and the Neptune at the end degrees of Pisces here. So we've had, Saturn's just gone forward as well. So, it's just getting kind of really started into that Pisces house, wherever that is in your chart. And with Neptune at that anaretic degree, you know, that's really knowing what it has to be cleared out of the shadows, what really needs to be worked on so that we can bring whatever it is that we were looking for in our imagination, in our dreams, in our visions, in, you know, bringing that in and crystallizing it into whatever it is that we so desire and you know, enjoy, um, bringing the uh, you know, images and pictures and grounding it down and allowing that to become your actual reality, like knowing that that is exactly what that energy does. It's to bring that all into the reality. You know, Saturn, that's what Saturn is. And you know, that Neptune wants us to have the vision and have the dreams. And, you know, yes, it sometimes can bring some fuzziness or confusion or that kind of thing, but it really is all about a time where, you know, it is possible. It all is possible. So, yeah, we'll see how that all kind of comes together, and we'll talk more about that going forward. But I just wanted to you know, touch base with everyone and you know, see where things were at and how your, you know, particular season went. And you know, this Venus here, Venus in Sag, squaring Saturn. Um, if we just kind of go up to our um, sorry, into Pisces and Saturn. So that's at 5 degrees and that's at 3. Um, we also, with that, have a Jupiter, see, 5 degrees Jupiter sextile, right? So that is a very, very benefic um, energy that comes to allowing our time of spirituality to be brought in to the physical realm. And it's asking us to, you know, resolve some of these, you know, deep rooted different things and whatever our perception was of reality, reshaping it and letting it, you know, fizzle out whatever is no longer working with us. It's about healing and, you know, it's also bringing in, like, crystallizing what it is that we imagine for ourselves and that connection to the spiritual, divine, you know, higher power, whatever, you know, your source, God, whatever you want to call it, and allowing this higher consciousness. We are all getting upgraded here in a new paradigm, and we are allowing ourselves to let go of all these old structures, everything that is no longer serving us, and release any of these old stories that you may have grown up with that are not serving you. So, whatever the way that we did life and whatever the way our parents did life and how we were brought up is not how we're going to do life now. It's not how our, you know, kids in our 20s and all of these ones younger are going to do life at all. So, there's no point in, you know, trying to hang on to all that old structure. It's just, you know, allow yourself to be the observer and also take advantage of it and let go of any self criticism or any of that little voice in your head that's telling you differently, that things need to be this way because they were always this way. That's not the truth. That's not the way that we're going to do life going forward. Uh, Pluto and Aquarius is changing all that. We have a lot of technological advantage, a lot of energy shifts, a lot of energy changing, a lot of things coming that will just, like, people will hardly even believe, but it's going to happen fast, and we have to not be afraid. We have to not be afraid of it, and just allow yourself open to be open to new opportunity and how you don't have to stay stuck. So, if you're out there feeling stuck in any kind of a way, please let me help you, because it helps me. And uh, meaning that it helps me also recognize the things inside myself that also need to be shifted, because I have, growing up in a different world of, um, than my daughter has, and it helps me grow. So I love working with the young adults to see their, different perspective, and then help them really get aligned with, who they are as a person. But I mean, that goes for anybody. I love working with, um, people that just feel like, I'm a little confused, I'm a little stuck, I'm not really sure which direction is right for me, and what have I been hanging on to that's not working for me, that somebody's, my early childhood years that maybe taught me that I needed to believe. That's not the truth, not your truth. So I'm all about the Sag moon, Sag midheaven. Let's find your truth. That's what's at the top of my chart, helping. And it's not being all Pollyanna, and you know it's just about reframing your belief system and restructuring what it is that you were taught to believe, and knowing that you have the potential to connect with the, divine source and your guides and different, um, spiritual parts of ourself that can help guide us in the right direction. We often, just are so stuck in the old story of the old voice of somebody who told you something that wasn't your truth. And so let's find that for you. And that's why I also love doing the energy scans, because it tells you where you're at too on the life journey, and what archetypes are dominant or need to be worked on, and where you're emotionally resonating at, which I also, took a whole many year program on that, which is just a little bit of a alternative form of, psychological guidance from a coaching perspective. So let us, get together and, yeah, help you move forward in all that's coming. So yeah, we'll chat some more soon about what's happening in 2024. I've been taking in so much great information from some of the, very experienced and well-established astrologers who've been preparing for these, you know new year, um, uh, I guess, deliveries for each sign. And, I love working one on one, and we can look at your chart in very, more in depth way too. I just, will see how I, move forward in 2024 here, and if I work on, you know, doing the different signs, or, if we just look at each energy as it's coming up. So, yeah, we'll, chat with you all soon, and looking forward to a real exciting, very, very, very benefic, energy of this Capricorn, uh, new moon. That's when the sun and the moon will be together in Capricorn, coming up on January 11th. There is a lot of good aspects with that. And so, a really good time to set intentions. Um, Another really cool thing we can look at in your chart is your granddaddy period, which is when you get to do your 40 wishes. And it's a technique done by Jan Spiller. And, um, I had somebody, my very first astrology reading I had, bring that to me, except I had the wrong birth time. So it's very important to have your right birth time in order to use that technique. But if you have your exact birth time, which I really recommend, and if you don't get a rectification done, I will learn that too. Hopefully, within this year, 2024, it's part of my goals. And, but yeah, just knowing when you can do those 40 wishes, and if not, you get, to do your 10 for the new moon, and help bring some of these visions you have into your reality. So, also the vision boards too. Time for that, to start gathering all the, information and pictures and different things, for the vision boards, which you can do digitally on Canva, or you can do it cut and paste, whichever works for you too. So that'll be that for now. I'm really looking forward to chatting with you. Again, take advantage of my bonus. Um, touch base through the bit.ly link, which will take you to just a page which will come into my email, so I know your birth data. And yeah, if you're interested to know what the Ness Health scan is, just Google that Ness Health bioenergetic scan, and you can see what that bonus is that I'll have for this month of January. And I hope you all had a really happy New Year celebration and are enjoying the beginning of January and getting back into things. And we will chat with you really, really soon. Have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.